Greetings. I am Society Archer, and welcome to another episode, chapter, whatever you want to call it, of the reading of the Poetic Edda, Carolyne Larrington's translation, published by Oxford World's Classics. Today's reading will be the first poem of Helgi Hundingsbani. Introduction: the two poems about Helgi Hundingsbani, the slayer of Hunding, and his namesake, Helgi Hundingsbani, mark the beginning of the heroic poems in the Codex Regius manuscripts. The relationship between the two Helgi Hundingsbani poems is unclear. It is quite likely that they represent much the same poem orally produced in different versions. All three Helgi poems center on the meeting and battle adventures of the hero and his Valkyrie lover. Valkyries were depicted as semi-divine figures living in Valhalla, serving mead to the warriors there, and hovering over battle, choosing those who were going to die. Hence the meaning of their name, choosers of the slain. But some Valkyries were envisioned rather as human or superhuman. They were royal princesses who chose to live the Valkyrie way of life. In preference to that of a normal woman. The Valkyrie would choose a hero, bring him good luck in battle while flying overhead with her companions, and eventually would become his bride. This would bring him into usually fateful collision with the Valkyrie's kindred or with her thwarted suitors. The name Helgi means sacred one. The Helgi heroes are archetypical in their relation to the Valkyrie bride and may even be reincarnated, as it is suggested at the end of the poem of Helgi Hundingsbani. Central to this poem and to the other Helgi poems is the fighting here between Sinfotli and Gudmund. The opponents accuse each other of unnatural behavior, sexual deviancy, or taboo acts as a prelude to battle. It is not always clear who is speaking, and I have punctuated the dialogue to reflect my understanding of who is speaking when. This poem ends with Helgi successfully winning his bride. The other Helgi poems continue after this point. The events of the poem are summarized in Volsunga Saga, chapters 8 through 9. And we begin. It was at the start of time that the eagles shrieked, the sacred waters poured down from Himmenfell. Then Helgi, the strong-minded man, was born to Borghild in Braland. Night fell on the estate, then came Norns, those who shaped fate for the prince. They said the war leader should be most famous, that he'd appear the best of princes. They plied very strongly the strand of fate, as strongholds were breaking in Braland. They prepared the golden threads, and fastened it in the middle under the moon's hall. East and west they concealed its ends. The prince possessed all the land between. Neri's kinswoman to the north. Through one fastening she said it would hold forever. Just one thing concerned the kinsman of the Ylfings, and that girl who'd given birth to the dear boy. One raven said to another he sat on a high tree, lacking for food. I know something. The son of Sigmund stands in his mail coat. 1 day old, now day has dawned. Sharp his eyes like fighters. He's the friends of wolves. We should be cheerful. To the men it seemed that he was a prince. They said to one another that good years had come. The noble leader himself came from the tumult of battle to bring a splendid leek to the young lord. He gave Helgi a name, gave him Hringstadir, Sunfell, Snowfell, and Sigrarvol, Hringstad, High Meadow, and Himmenvangi, a tested blood snake to Tinsfjotli's brother. Then he began to grow in the bosom of his friends, the splendidly born elm in radiant delight. He paid out and gave gold to the retinue. The prince did not spare blood-stained treasure. For a short time the prince waited for war. Then the leader was 15 years old. He brought about the killing of Hunding the Hard. Long he ruled lands and men. Afterwards they demanded, the sons of Hunding, riches and rings from Sigmund's son, for they intended to repay the prince for his great ravaging and their father's death. The prince did not let compensation be in question, nor did the kinsman get a head price at all. He said they should expect an excessive storm of grey spears in Odin's wrath. The chieftains go to the sword meeting. which they'd set up at Logafell. The piece of Frodi was torn between the enemies. Corpse eager on the island ran Odin's hounds. The prince sat down when he'd killed Alf and Eolf beneath Arastein. Hjörvard and Havard, the sons of Hunding, he brought down all of Spearmimir's clan. Then a light shone from Logafell, and from that light came lightning bolts. Wearing helmets at Himinvangi came the Valkyries. Their byrnies were drenched in blood, and beams blazed from their spears. Immediately he asked from the wolf lair. The prince asked the southern ladies, wished to go home with the warriors when night fell. The elm boughs were shrilling. But from her horse, Hogni's daughter, the shield din was over, said to the prince, I think we ought to have other business than drinking beer with the breaker of rings. My father has promised his girl to Grandma's fierce son, but Helgi I call Hodbrod, a king as impressive as the kitten of a cat. The prince will come in a few nights, unless you challenge him to battle or seize the girl from the warrior. Don't be afraid of the slayer of Isung. First there'll be noise of battle, or else I'll be dead. The all-powerful one sent messengers from there, through air and sea, to assemble his army. Ample river fire he offered the warriors and their sons. Tell them quickly to go to their ships, and to be ready to sail from Brand Island. Then the prince waited until there came huge numbers of men from Hedon's island. And there from the beaches at Staffsness, they pushed out the ships graven with gold. Helgi asked Hjörleif this, have you inspected the impressive young man? The young king spoke to the others. It would take time to count off Cranebank, the long-necked ships beneath the sailors, journeying outwards on the Orvasund. 1,200 trusty men, though in high meadow there's twice as many. The king's war troop we may expect, battle din. So the leader ordered the prow tents dismantled, roused the crowd of warriors, and the fighters see the daybreak, and the noble men hoisted up the well-sewn sail in Varinsfjord. There was the splash of oars and the clash of iron. Shield smashed against shield, the Vikings rode on. Hurtling beneath the heroes, surged the leader's ship far from the land. Then it could be heard they'd met together, the sister of Kolga and the longships, as mountains or surf may break asunder. Helgi ordered the high sail to be set. His crew did not cringe at the meeting of the waves. When Aegir's terrible daughter wanted to capsize the stay-bridled wave-horse. And Sigrun above, brave in battle, protected them in their vessel. The king's sea beast twisted powerfully out to Rand's hand near Nipagland. So in Una Bay in the evening the splendid ships were floating, and the others in persons from Svarenshog with troubled minds came to look at the army. Gudmund asked, divinely descended, who is that lord who leads the troop, who's brought the dangerous men to shore? Sinfotli said he'd slung on the yardarm his red shield, the rim was all of gold. He was a sea lookout who knew how to answer and how to debate with the princes. Say this evening when you're feeding pigs and calling your bitches to their slops, that the Ylfings have come from the east, eager for fighting, to Nippaland. Hodbrod will find Helgi there, the prince who never flees amid his fleet, a man who's often sated eagles while you are kissing slave women at the grindstone. Little must you recall, Lord, the old stories, when you taunt the princes with untruths. You have eaten wolves' corpse leavings and were the slayer of your brother. Often you sucked wounds with a cold snout. Hated everywhere, you slunk into a stone tip. You were a seeress on Varen's island, a deceitful woman you made up slander. You said that you did not want to have any warrior in his armor except Sinfotli. You were a harmful creature, a witch, a Valkyrie, horrible, unnatural with Allfather. All the Einherjar had to fight, headstrong woman, on your account. 9 wolves on Saga's headland we engendered, I alone was their father. You were not the father of Fenrir wolves, older than them all as far as I remember, after the giant girls castrated you on Thorsness by Nippeland. You were Sigurd's stepson, you made your home under haystacks. Used to wolves howling out in the woods, you turned your hand to hateful deeds when you tore your brother's breast. You made yourself infamous for abominable acts. You were Granny's bride on Bravo Plain, a gold bit in your mouth you were ready to leap. I've ridden you to exhaustion over many a stretch of road, a jaded hack under my saddle down the mountain. You seemed to be a lad without morals when you milked Gulnir's goats, and another time as Im's daughter in tattered clothes. Do you want to keep talking? Rather, I'd like to sate ravens on your corpse at Freckestein, than call your bitches to their slops, or be feeding your pigs, may the trolls take you. It would be much more fitting for you two, Sinfotli, to go to battle and make the eagle happy, than to be bandying useless words, though the generous princes may have a quarrel to resolve. I don't like the look of Grandmar's sons, though it befits princes to tell the truth. They have proved at Monstime that they have a temperament for wielding swords. They allowed Silverpud and Svigd to run powerfully to Solheim, over the dew-sprinkled dales, the dark slopes. The Valkyrie's airy sea trembled where the kinsmen passed. They met the excellent prince at the courtyard door. They said with excitement that the Lord has come. Hodbrod stepped forward, wearing his helm. He pondered his kinsmen riding toward them. Why do the Niflungs look so troubled? They've beached on the sand swift ships, hearts of masterings, long rowlocks, many shields, smooth-played oars, the king's splendid troop, the cheerful Yiflings. 15 companies came on shore, yet out in song there are 7,000. Pulled up by the palisade for Nippeland, dark-colored surf beasts all decked with gold. By far the most of their mighty host is there. Helgi will not delay the meeting of swords. Let the bridled horses gallop to the main assembly places. Sparwolf ride to Sparringsheath. Melnir and Malnir to Mirkwood. Let no man linger behind, those who know how to brandish wound flames. Subban Hogni and the sons of Hring, Atli and Yngri offer the old. They are eager to advance to war. Let's offer the Volsungs some resistance. There was only the flickering as they came together of pale spear points at Freckestein. Always was Helgi, slayer of Hunding, foremost in the host where men were fighting. Eager in the battle, extremely averse to flight, that prince had a hard acorn of a heart. Helmeted Valkyries came down from the sky. The noise of spears grew loud, those who protected the prince. Then said Sigrun, the wound-giving Valkyries flew. The troll woman's mount was feasting on raven fodder. Unscathed prince, you'll unleash men, upholder of Yngvi's line, and enjoy your life. Since you have brought low the king who scorns flight, the one who dealt death to the dread-bringing man. And it's fitting, Lord, that you should have both red gold rings and the powerful girl. Unscathed, Lord, you'll enjoy both, Hogni's daughter and Hringstadir, lands and victory, now the battle is over. That was the first. Until next time, Society Archer.